Hey guys, Abner Miranda here. When I was a kid, I remember visiting some family friends in Puerto Rico. When I say kid, I mean like 8. Um, I remember, I think it was on Mayagüez, which is the area where I was born in Puerto Rico. I remember that it was one of those concrete structure, high-rise type of um, condos, apartments. And I remembered that it had the open breezeways with the overhang of the of the concrete form roof, and the apartments had jalousie windows, which are the ones that have independent slats of glass, which is a thing in tropical countries. So, anyways, I remember we're heading to the apartment, and I remember looking up at the overhangs periodically, and I would see these little chips everywhere. Well, not everywhere. I would see the occasional chip, and I couldn't really figure out what it was. So anyways, that afternoon, we had lunch. We're all kind of hanging around. And down below, we were several stories up. And I remember down below, we started hearing what to me sounded like firecrackers. And, you know, when you're a kid growing up and you watch TV, you know, gunfire on TV sounds different than it does in real life, and it really truly does sound just like a firecracker, pop, 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 pop. And I remember asking what that was, and just then the owner of the apartment, I think he was a friend of the family, but he was one of those people that is like treated like an uncle kind of a thing. So we called him Theo. Anyways, he said, very calmly, he said, "Everyone sit on the floor." And what's amazing is the conversation continued while we were seated on the floor. And I remember going to the edge. I don't remember if it was with my dad, probably with my dad. But remember, we went to the edge and we kind of looked over the side. And I remember seeing young men. It was a gang war of some sort. And I remember looking down into the playground, and these guys were running around. It was one of those playgrounds with a bunch of concrete form playground walls and things like that. And these guys are like throwing shots at each other and doing that kind of thing and hopping over barriers. And I mean, it's gunfire. It's gunfire going everywhere. And I remembered that so vividly that in later years, as I entered teenage and then my 20s, I would go back to that memory, and I would sometimes have to ask myself, did that really happen? Did I really remember that happening? Well, yeah, I did. I did. Those of you who have never experienced that, who don't understand what it is when bullets start flying in your neighborhood, can't fully comprehend what it is that people like me are saying about what's going on in our country right now. This Cold War that we have going on right now, this race war, this the liberals versus the conservatives, the whites versus the blacks, the Hispanics versus I don't know who. Sorry guys, I'm Puerto Rican, which I guess makes me Hispanic. I'm not quite sure why people are supposed to be angry at. I'm an American. Been here my whole life. I love my United States of America. I'm still soy puertorriqueño, soy de Mayagüez y soy un boricua, but I'm an American. Okay, I'm an American. I love the United States, and because I have traveled to other parts of the world, and I have seen what it is to. I've traveled to parts of the world where they don't have a constitution like ours, and they're under a monarchy, and they don't have rights. And a friend of mine was in New Zealand, I think, a while back, and he said the people there, just the behavior is not the way we behave, meaning like they're told to do something and they just kind of do it. They're told to do something by the government and they just kind of do it. And I'm like, yeah, no. It is a quintessentially American thing to go, excuse me, I'm sorry, you said what? Why should I do that? Because you said so? Oh, well, sorry. Okay, that is what it is to be an American, to question authority. And guess what? It is your God-given right. It is, as Americans, we have been endowed by our founding fathers with a document that reflects the tenets of being God's creation. I hope I'm getting this in a manner that you guys can understand. As humans, let me put it this way. As humans, we are endowed by our Creator with certain, and seriously, these bugs, with certain things that cannot be taken from us. Those things are reflected in our Constitution, but they don't come from the Constitution. They come from God. And the concern that I have in our nation is there are a lot of people who are blasé about, well, let's just get it over with. Let's go. Boom, let's go. You don't know what you're asking for. It's like those morons who run around saying, well, we need to just declare martial law in some of these cities and get this violence under control. Do you know what martial law really means? You understand that martial law means this instantaneously goes away, period. Habeas corpus is suspended. Martial law, guns start getting snatched. That's the way it works. That's the very basic tenet of martial law. It is not something that I'm complacent about. I am reticent to see America tear itself to pieces, and there are people within our own country that are walking the halls of Congress who are trying to tear our nation apart. Now, what I think is interesting is that it's got to be going on 5 months since I listened to the evening news. And yesterday I turned the evening news on. I was like, okay, let's see what's going on in the world. And like, boom, there was a clip of President Trump basically saying something to the tune of, it was about the whole universal background check crap. And essentially what he's doing is he's kind of like going, yeah, you know, this may not be a good idea. This may not be a good road to go down. And guys, what I think it comes down to is our politicians on both sides periodically run stuff up the flagpole to see if we're going to salute at it or shoot at it. And I really think that one more time, that's what's going on, guys. It's what they do. They run crap up the flagpole and see if people are dumb enough to actually salute at it, or if there are still people full of piss and vinegar in America who will shoot at it. And you know what? I say to you, remain full of piss and vinegar and continue to fire, not bullets, I don't think we're there yet. Although, frankly, our founding fathers would have already been there. But that's a conversation for another day. When I say fire at it, I mean fight it in town hall meetings. Call your senators, which is what I've done. Send them emails, which is what I've done. Guys, the staffers that work for these senators are accustomed to getting emails and phone calls from people. If your senator is worth a darn, they need to hear from you. They want to hear from you. They want to see what their constituents are having to say about things that are getting run up the flagpole. Let them know. Give them a call. It literally takes, I called last week and said, was it Marsha Blackburn, and I forget the other one here in Tennessee. And I basically called and I said, I want to let Mrs. Blackburn know that we do not want to see any gun control legislation go forward. And the young lady that answered the phone said, all right, thank you, I'll let her know. And you could tell she was writing stuff. You know, that's what they're doing. They're essentially, you call in, they make a notation as to what the phone call was about. Whether that person's feelings are with you or not, that staffer knows it is their job to reflect the phone call that comes in and make a notation to the senator. Do your job, guys. You're an American. We will continue to do this for as long as we can until things get ugly. And when things get ugly, then we will go from there. And I will not be discussing that on video. As always, God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.